Monday, April 8th, 2024, the national championship is here. We've made it, my friends. College basketball's greatest event has now come down to two of the best teams in the country. Who do we have in this matchup? This is the free three. I'm going to break it down for you guys. Let's get into it. What's up, guys? It's your boy Noble Living back with another DYF Bets video where I'm breaking down my favorite picks and plays of the day as we just try to get to the bag together and make some money. Now, for Saturday, we did have a quick Final Four picks, and we went 1-2. I feel like every day we've gone 1-2 so far this month, but it's okay. We did cash in on DJ Horton's points, as I did say that DJ Burns was not going to be that big of a factor in that game, and that was absolutely right. We did get the Purdue NC State over wrong, as NC State completely pissed down their leg in that second half, scored no points, was definitely not expecting that, so you hate to see that. And then we also lost on Tristan Newton's points, as that was more Stephon Castle's game. Newton got the volume. He shot a lot of shots. He shot a lot of three-pointers. He just wasn't able to convert at the rate that we needed him to. If he hit one or two more shots, we definitely would have gone over in that matchup. So tough to see those two losses there on the Saturday card. But we're still here today. You can see our year-to-date record right here. And keep in mind, guys, we do have our future pending tonight on Purdue to win the national championship. So let me tell you guys a little bit real quickly how I'm going to navigate this game. And if you can, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. So this way you guys can stay up to date on all the latest tweets and plays that we're dropping. Let's get into it. So, we're here today, my friends, the national championship. Purdue, Yukon Huskies. According to KenPom, these are the two best teams in the country, and they've truthfully been the two best teams all year. And now we've come full circle to be able to see them face off in the national championship. I had assumed at the start of the tournament where I said I got Purdue winning it all. The only team that I could see beating them was Yukon. Why? Because of Donovan Clingan, the big man there. He's the only guy that can really match up with Zach Edey, who we know is a matchup nightmare. He's been a matchup nightmare for every team thus far in the tournament. But they also have the guard play to be able to keep up with the shooters that Purdue has, right? We got Fletcher Lawyer there. You've got Jones. You got Braden Smith. And this guard team of Yukon, and as well coached as they are with Dan Hurley, they have what it takes. Going into these matchups, my friends, both of these teams are 5-0 against the spread headed into this tournament. They've covered every single game in the tournament. We've seen UConn's historic run in terms of covering games dating back to last tournament. They have not lost against the spread since their national championship run last year. So that's amazing to see. So something has to give in this matchup today. And for me, do I think that Purdue is going to cover the 7.5-point spread? I do believe so. So that's going to be my first best bet of the day that you guys can lock in. I got them covering the 7.5 points, minus 125 odds. But that's not going to be something that we're going to lean on too heavily because we have the national championship future. What I'm going to be looking to do is if Purdue takes a lead earlier at some point late in this game, if I can get Yukon at plus the money, or maybe at like minus 125 odds on the money line, or maybe like minus 1.5, it has to be underneath one bucket or one possession for me to grab Yukon here, for me to be able to hedge off of the Purdue bet. That's just what I'm going to do. But I'm going to put a little bit of extra money on Purdue plus 7.5, as I do think that's just way too many points here. Can Yukon cover that number? Yes. Will they have they covered thus far? Yes. But is it just way too many points? I do believe so. KenPom has this as a 3-point win for Yukon, which I do kind of see that happening. So for me, 7.5 points is just way too many points. And I think we're getting this inflated number, not only because of what Yukon's been able to do thus far in the tournament, but because they've been able to cover every game thus far. And for me, Alabama was this close to covering and literally went from 0 to 100 real quick in like 45 seconds. It literally went from Alabama having a chance to win the game to Alabama now not being able to cover. But the big play that I'm going to take in this game is not necessarily the spread, but it's going to be the total. And I'm going to go under 145.5 here, minus 110 odds. Now, I know I did take the over in the last matchup, as I did think offense was going to prevail there in Phoenix. But what we've seen from both of these teams thus far is defense is going to be the name of both of their games. The Alabama-Yukon game, that game went under. Purdue, NC State, that game went under. And actually, in the 5 tournament games thus far, both of these teams have gone under in 4 of the last 5 games. And now we have these two teams facing off. And while we do have great offenses, UConn's ranked number 1 in the country in offensive efficiency. Purdue's ranked number 3 in offensive efficiency. Right? While we do have these great offensive numbers from both of these teams, they can both shoot the ball from deep. They don't play with a lot of tempo. They both feed the ball inside to the post. They both run complicated sets in terms of off-ball screens, double action, multiple layers to their offense. So because of that, I think this is going to be more of a half-court pace game. It's going to be more of a slower type style. And because of it also features two big men, two post men, we have opportunities to feed it in the post, take a few dribbles, kick back out, stretch the floor, get the offense rocking and rolling. So because of that, I think there's just going to be less possessions in this matchup. Now, the line is already moved in favor to the under in this game. This game opened up at 148, and now we have a total all the way down at 145 on certain books. If you can get 146.5, I would take that. But when you look at the tempo for both of these teams, even though they have a really strong offense, they're literally more of a slower paced team. Yukon is ranked 328th in adjusted tempo. Meanwhile, Purdue is ranked 211 in adjusted tempo. So again, both of these teams are not very fast-paced teams, and when I keep in mind that the big men are going to be featured here, I'm going to have to lean the under. And then when you also keep in mind that both of these teams have been trending to the under, and I believe that it's going to be a chess match between both of these teams because both of these head coaches, both Matt Painter and Dan Hurley, like to make adjustments. They know how to get their team to slow it down. They know how to play in the half court. I believe that the under is going to be the matchup in this play. KenPom has this a final score of 75-72. So that puts us at a total of about 147. So hovering right around this line. But for me, I just think that this is a little bit too many points. If you want another way of kind of fading Purdue here without taking Yukon on the -7, then what you could do is look at their team total under 70.5, 69.5. I do like that as well, as I do think Purdue is going to go under here, both of those numbers. They have Yukon's team total at like 75.5. You can also take a look at taking that under there as well. But the only reason I'm not doing that is that's another way you could take Purdue to kind of cover the 7.5 points if you don't want to take them on the spread. That's another way you can take a look at it, is taking Yukon's team total under. I do like that as well. But both of these teams have gone under pretty consistently. Both of their games flew under on Saturday. So because of that, especially in the second half, I think that's when the defense is really going to come out. It's really going to be a chess match, and I believe that's why this game is going to go under here. So give me under 145.5 as our first best bet of the day. But like I said, you can also sprinkle a little bit on Purdue plus 7.5, as I just think that's too many points. I'm going to officially put that out as one of the picks here because I need a few more winners here on the channel. So I am going to put that out as official pick, but I do lean 145.5 as the better of those two picks. Now for my second best bet inside this game, we're going to go with a player prop here for my people who are on the DFS, daily fantasy apps. So just looking for a player prop. And we're going to go with the big man himself, the star, Zach Edey. But we're not going to take his points here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over 12.5 rebounds, plus 110 odds on BetMGM. Gives you the best value, but you can also shop around. I think it's -10 on certain books. I really like this here. Now, Zach Edey has been an absolute wagon thus far in this tournament. You can look at his numbers. In the first game against Grambling, 30 points, 21 rebounds. Second game against Utah State, 23 points, 14 rebounds. Third game against Gonzaga, 27 points, 14 rebounds. Fourth game against Tennessee, 40 points, 16 rebounds. And then on Saturday, he had 20 points to go with 12 rebounds. And yes, on Saturday, his line was super inflated. They had his rebounds at 17.5, 16.5. It was something ridiculous. They had his points at 28.5. So that's what kept me off of him on Saturday. But I like him in this matchup today for a few reasons. One, he's getting the minutes. In the last 3 games against Gonzaga, Tennessee, and NC State, he's barely sat down. He's played 38 or more minutes in all of those games. So literally, he's been able to play. The second thing that I really like is he stayed out of foul trouble. He hasn't picked up more than 3 fouls since the Utah State game. So that means for me that he should be able to stay on the court. The third thing, as I really like his rebounds in this matchup, is he's finally facing a big man that's actually going to force him to be active on the boards. Now, that might be a reason why you might say, Noble, why would you take his rebounds? Because Donovan Clingan, this is the first guy who can really bang with him. I get that. But I also think that's going to mean more value on this play because it's going to force Zach Edey to actually have to box out. It's going to force him to actually have to crash the glass and be able to grab these rebounds at a higher rate because Clingan is a guy who can go grab those rebounds. I think Clingan's numbers, in all honesty, should be higher on the boards than they really are, but I think it's also due to the amount of minutes that he does play, right? Against Stetson, he only had 8 rebounds. Against Northwestern, he had 14 rebounds. San Diego State, 8 rebounds. Illinois, 10 rebounds. And then last game against Alabama, only 5 rebounds. But in all these matchups, he's played less than 30 minutes for the game. So my question is Dan Hurley going to have him out here for more minutes so this way he can match him against Edey? We don't know. But one thing we do know is that the refs are probably going to call some fouls in here. And if Edey can pick up a few quick fouls, which he did on DJ Burns, then guess what? Clingan starts not being as much of a factor. As a result, more rebound opportunities. But UConn does have the size here to be able to cause problems for Edey, especially on the boards. Maybe you limit second chance opportunities. But for me, I think that Zach Edey's impact in this game is going to be less on the post-up opportunities, jump hook opportunities like we've used to seeing him do, and more on the boards, on second chance opportunity, on Fletcher Lawyer miss, on a Jones miss. And I think that's going to be valuable against a UConn team that has the size to keep up with Edey, but they necessarily don't crash the glass as hard as some of the other teams that they face. And that might be a factor for me in this game as to why Zach Edey should be able to grab these rebounds, just let alone the minutes and the intensity of the game. I don't see Zach Edey sitting down in this game, especially if he doesn't get into foul trouble. Purdue is 6th in the country in offensive rebound percentage. They also are very high in terms of defensive rebounding percentage, so they're not going to give you extra possessions. And for me, with me leaning towards the under in this game, I expect more missed shots, which means more rebound opportunities. And the fact that UConn has the size here, that means that it should force Edey to have to be more active on the boards. We've seen him go over this total in 4 of the 5 games in the tournament, only hooking on the last time against NC State. I like the value that we're getting here, so give me Zach Edey over 12.5 rebounds as our third best bet of the day. Now, fourth and final best bet of the day, we're going to go over to the baseball slate here. I know people that are really interested in betting baseball maybe right now, but we don't have any NBA on today. They took the day off, so we'll be back with NBA plays full-fledged tomorrow now that we're building into the playoffs time. But for me, I'm going to go with a little bozo pack for you guys. Now, we're going to go with the Atlanta Braves and the Arizona Diamondbacks. We're going to take them on the money line. If you parlay those two together, that gets you to plus Chicky, plus 122 odds there, which I really, really like. Now, for both of these teams, it's really just a fade against the opposing opponents. The Atlanta Braves are taking on the New York Mets. New York Mets absolutely suck. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Their offense has been god-awful. They're the bottom 10 in major leagues in offense for so far to start the year. And then the Atlanta Braves are setting Charlie Morton to the mound, which I think is a good look. And Charlie Morton had a good start in his first time of the year. Granted, it was against the Chicago White Sox, but he went 5 2/3 innings in that game, 3 hits to go with 6 strikeouts and 2 walks. You love to see that. Gave up no runs. And when I think about this Mets offense and how they've been doing, they kind of fare pretty even to me with the White Sox thus far. Do I think they're going to turn it around? Yes, Francisco Lindor. You've got Pete Alonso. You've got Jeff McNeil. You've got so many different weapons that the Mets have there on the offensive side. That's pretty shocking to see that they've started off the year as slow and offensively as they've had. But for me, I just think this is a matchup where they're going on the road against a division rival. They're also setting a pitcher in Julio Teheran to the mound, and we know what Teheran can do. He can kind of be hit or miss. Last year, he had some good starts for the Brewers, and then in other starts, he didn't do that well. Last year, he was 3-5 on the year with a 4.4 ERA to go up 50 strikeouts, which is not the best numbers against a very strong Braves lineup. And this is a pitch-to-contact guy. What does that mean? He's not going to walk a lot of guys. He doesn't struggle with his control, so that means he's going to throw pitches around the plate area. And when you throw pitches around the plate, then you know what can happen. In 2 starts last year when he played for the Brewers, he played against the Braves in back-to-back starts. This was back in July 29th and July 23rd. They lost both of those games. One was 11-5, one was 4-2. He went 5 innings, gave up 11 hits and 9 earned runs to go up 3 home runs in one of the games. And the second game, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 1 home run. So that is something that's a point of concern for me, is that he's giving up the long ball. He's giving up home runs. And again, you've got a Braves team with that potent offense that knows they can hit it out. They're at home in this matchup. He's a pitch-to-contact guy. He's not walking a lot of guys. So for me, I think the advantage lies with the Braves offense here. So give me Braves on the money line. And then for the Diamondbacks game, they're taking on the Colorado Rockies in Colorado. And this is just a matchup here where Zach Gallen for me is on the mound. It's hard for me to fade Zach Gallen. You guys know he's the ace of this staff. 2-0 on the year, 0.82 ERA to go with 9 strikeouts. You love to see it. Now, obviously, Zach Gallen has struggled at times with the long ball. We have seen that historically in his career, especially when he's away from home. But for me, I think this is just a fade on the Rockies offense and Kyle Freeland. The Rockies are only 2-8 on the year. One of their wins came on a walk-off grand slam against the Rays. So that was a game that they should have lost as well. And so far on the year, Kyle Freeland has 2 starts, 0-2 on the year. He faced his Diamondback team already earlier this year. He went only 2 1/3 innings, gave up 10 hits, 10 earned runs, 1 home run in 2 innings. Like, come on now. And that was on the road. Now you're playing at Coors Field, which is a hitters-friendly ballpark, against an ace in Zach Gallen. Yeah, you're on fade mode, buddy. And then he also faced the Cubs on the road. 9 hits, 7 earned runs, 2 home runs to go in 3 to third innings. Again, you're struggling with the long ball. You're struggling with your control. You're not striking out anybody. He's had 2 strikeouts in both those starts. So for me, we're just going to fade him here. If you want to take the D-backs from the run line at minus 120 odds, be my guest. But parlay these two together, and that will get you plus cheeky to wrap us up for the night. Well, that's it for me today, my friends. 4 best bets that are coming on your way. Give me Purdue plus 7.5 with a little slight unit management on that, so don't go too heavy. But our main pick is the under 145.5. We're also going to go with Zach Edey over 12.5 rebounds. And then we're going to wrap this up with a Bozo pack with the Braves and the D-backs to get us over the hump. For more picks and plays, Nerfies, other things that I'm dropping out today, click the link in the description. Join the free Discord group. Follow me on Twitter. Get those extra plays. All right, my friends, let's cash it. Hopefully Purdue takes it home. I'm rooting for them tonight so we can cash our future, our plus 700 future on Purdue to win the national championship. If we get this right, baby, that will be 5 of the last 7 years that I've chosen the right NCAA tournament champion before the tournament started. So I'm really hoping I can keep the momentum going. If Yukon wins, I won't be too mad at it because they're the best team in the country right now. But hey, it happens. Let's see what happens tonight. It's going to be a late game, so make sure you guys stay up and watch it. And if you want some more winners or if you want to just chat, make sure you drop a comment below with who you think's going to win. And as always, dictate your fate, gets that cheddar. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. Later, gang.